It's nearly Christmas, and so I'm going to make a quick video here about making some Christmas bunting to hang up as a Christmas decoration, and I'm going to hang this on my mantelpiece. So even though this is not strictly speaking Sashiko, I think you can see that I've got some Sashiko fabric here. This is called Indigo Stitches, and I was tempted to buy it just because of the Sashiko designs on the fabric. And so for me, I think this will make a really cool bunting. And I do actually decorate in blue and white for Christmas. My tree is decorated in blue and white just because blue is my favourite colour and I like it. So bunting's a really fun thing to make. And you can make it not only for Christmas, but for other kind of parties and celebrations. So I have this to use as the tape for the top. And this is not strictly speaking the right kind of stuff to do bunting with. But I got it because of the colours. The other bunting tape I found, it was the right width, the 2-inch width, but it was kind of a cream colour, and I didn't think that would go. So I'm going to try this. If it's a failure, I will just cut some strips of blue, navy blue fabric, and make my tape out of that, and I know that that will work. So I think you can see that there's all these different patterns in here, different Sashiko patterns amongst this material. And I don't really know why I bought it because probably not going to make anything. Well, I don't know. Maybe I will make something with it. But what I think is I was tempted to buy it because I just love the Sashiko patterns. But if I'm going to make something with Sashiko, really, I want to sew the Sashiko. That's the pleasure I get in it, sewing the embroidery. So we'll see. So I'm quite pleased to find this and find something to make out of my Sashiko. I've picked out some different pieces of this fabric that I'm going to use for the bunting. These are 10-inch squares. I love these 10-inch squares that are colour coordinated for me, so I don't have to make the effort. Let me just pull this one off the top, and then I'll just put those to one side and show you what to do. So bunting is just like the simplest and quickest thing to make. It's loads of fun to do. You can make it in all different sizes. This 10-inch size just happens to be what I've got and what I want to do today. So we're going to take it and fold it right sides together in a triangle. Just make sure you fold it neatly. And then we're just going to sew a straight line down that side. And I'm just going to use a 1/4-inch seam just as though I was quilting. And I'm going to do that with 7 of these pieces. I think 7 will be about the right number, and I can always make more and add them on if it's not enough. So let's go to the sewing machine and sew those. Actually, easy to sew them if I turn it over and start from this corner. So just continue on and sew all 7. Now all the 7 are sewn. I'm just going to clip this corner so that I can make a nice point down here. I'm being careful not to cut the stitch. Then I'm going to take this to the iron, open it out, and this seam here I'm going to press open and flat in this case, which I know that's not really often used in quilting, but this is bunting, it's not quite quilting, so I'm going to press that flat. And I'm also going to press, so that's totally central, I'm going to press these two side seams so that it looks like that, kind of like a cone. So I'll just go and do that to all the pieces. So I've pressed this seam open, and now I'm just going to turn this through to the right side. Now this little point down here is a bit hard to get to. I've got a little pointy tool, but you can use anything kind of on the pointy shape to push this out. Okay. And I'm going to finish turning that through. And now that I've done that, this is where I'm going to center it and press these seams down the side. Because it's a little bit difficult to decide whether this is exactly down the center, the best thing to do to find that is to fold this corner over, matching those side seams, and just put an iron line down there. Then when you open it, you can see your ironed line and you can match those two lines up, and that'll make sure that it's totally central. So that's all pressed now. That makes quite a nice little cone shape, and the next thing you're going to do is just fold this part down, and that just tucks inside the flap. And I am just going to make sure that's folded neatly and run the iron over it. So that's one little flag for the bunting made. So there's no more finishing to do at the top here, because this raw edge is going to be enclosed in the binding strip at the top. So I'm going to repeat that with all of the pieces that I've cut out. When I've done all of them, I'm going to take the binding tape here. Let me just open this. And I'm going to take it and measure the length that I want. And once I've cut it to length, I'm going to leave quite a bit at the end, maybe about 6 inches from the end. That gives me some space to fasten it up with, and also some little adjustment space at the end. And then this is going to just be sewn in between there. I'll go and measure the length that I want. I've cut this to size, and I've also folded it in half and just loosely ironed it to keep it about the even width all the way along. And I didn't really need to do that, but I just thought it would make it easier to sew. Now you just start sewing and putting the bunting in. You can just start from one end, figure out how many inches you want to leave between each little flag piece. As I say, I'd leave about 6 inches before you start, and you might want to decide on 2 inches or 3 inches, but because this is going over a mantelpiece, it's a fairly small area and I want it to look central. What I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to fold it in half and mark the center, and then I'm going to pin the center one in place and then work outwards from there. There, that'll fall into the center. I'll finish making all my other little bunting flags there, pin them in, and then the next thing we'll do is sew them onto the tape. I've pinned my bunting here. You don't have to put the bunting in here before you start sewing. You could just start sewing along your tape. I've just pre-done that to save time, and because I wanted it to fit in a certain space.
Keep watching and I'll show you a smaller size and a different way of making the binding using just a strip of fabric. Make sure you have your little bunting flags all the same way up. So you want that little central seam that you made to be hidden on the back. This is the front that you can see. I'm sewing in about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of the binding here. Continue sewing until all your bunting flags are put in place.
Here's all my bunting done. I'm going to take it and hang it up on the mantelpiece and see what it looks like.
So it looks good as bunting, but not very Christmassy. It would be good bunting for a guy's birthday party or something, but for Christmas it needs some decoration. So I found some snowmen here, and I'm trimming these, and I'm going to add them into the bunting flags. Daisy seems to think she has to help here. I'm going to add one of these little snowmen just below the bunting tape, and I've also got that little shiny zigzag. I'm going to put that at the top of each one. These little pieces don't have to be finished off or anything fancy done with them. I've zigzagged the edges so they don't fray, and I'm just going to sew them on there. I've fussy cut 7, 1 for each flag. And I'm just going to have to take Daisy out. I'm just going to do a straight stitch around the edge of each square. I haven't really measured these for centering. I'm just laying on there and just looking to see whether they look about even, and I think that's fine for this project. I'm just going to go on and add these little snowmen to each of the flags, and then I'll show you when it's finished. So that's a lot more seasonal. So let's go on and make some actual Christmas ones with Christmas fabric now. This is some Christmas fabric. I'm going to make smaller buntings. I'm going to cut this into 7-inch squares, and this I'm going to use for the tape. Here are my bunting flags and the tape ready made. The flags are 7-inch, cut from a 7-inch square. I haven't shown you again how to make them because it's exactly the same as the way that I made the larger size. The only difference is the starting size. So these are 2 strips sewn together of 2.5 inch wide, pulled out from a jelly roll. I've trimmed the edges with the zigzag pair of scissors so that they don't fray, and then I've folded them in half and ironed them ready to use as tape. I haven't pinned these in place this time because this time I'm going to show you how to do it if you were just adding them in as you go along. So I'm just placing the first one in there, and again I've left about 6 or 8 inches at the end. And then this piece of card I've cut at 2.5 inches, and that's the distance I want between my bunting. So every time I sew one part in, I'll just place that and it'll let me know where to put the next one. And it's just an easy way then measuring it each time. Make sure that the little flag is snug up there into the fold. And again, I'm going to do a machine line about 1/4 of an inch away from the bottom edge of the tape. And I'm just using the measuring card to mark the distance to the next flag. I actually just put a little pin in place. It's easy to get the bunting flag in there. Oh, I've picked up 2 there and put them in. I didn't realise. And I thought that felt kind of thick and funny and didn't go in there very well. So let's put that one back and we'll get this back in there. Just get my little card and just check the measurements still about the same. If it's not exact, it's not really that big a deal on bunting, so unless it's just a really obvious, huge difference. So just continue this way to the end, and then we'll have a look at it. This is actually going to be the last one because I have no more of the tape made ready for the top. I could always just add some on here and continue if I wanted to make it longer, but I think that's enough for the moment. Here's my bunting, quick, super easy project. Hope you'll try it.